You know, we had a 1962 experience. Useful to remind ourselves of it because some people are in denial. But it wasn't just 1962. After 62, 1988, Rajiv Gandhi went to China. In many ways, that was the key step towards normalizing our ties. And then there was a very clear understanding that we will discuss our boundary differences, but that we will maintain peace and tranquility on the border, and the rest of the relationship will carry on. From 1988, that has been the basis for the evolution of our ties. There have been issues, I'm not disputing that. What changed now is what happened in 2020. In 2020, the Chinese, in violation of multiple agreements, brought large number of forces to our border, and they did it at a time when we were under COVID lockdown in this country. Presumably, that may have had some bearing on somebody's calculation. Now, we responded by counter-deploying our forces, and then all of you are familiar with the story. We had the clash in Galwan, and for 4 years now, we are both deployed ahead of our normal base positions, normal patrolling zones up there. So it's a very abnormal deployment today along the line of actual control. Now, given this tension between the two countries, it's not a matter of we had a conflict 62 years ago. It is what is happening today on the border. As Indian citizens, none of us can or should disregard actually the security of our country, the state of our borders. So we cannot carry on with the rest of life saying, that's not our concern. That is our concern. It's our country. It's our line of actual control. So it is today a challenge. Now there is an economic challenge, and that economic challenge was exactly what I spoke about. Our neglect of manufacturing and infrastructure in previous years. That why is today Indian business buying so much from China? Partly you can say, their manufacturing scale, their infrastructure efficiencies, there's the nature, the subsidies that they give, the nature of their economy, that gives them an advantage. But I urge you all to think about it. Is it really good for the future of the country? Is it good for your own business to be dependent on some other source, which could leverage it at some point of time for some non-business related reason? So there is today a big economic security debate underway in the world, not just in India. It's happening in Europe, it's happening in the United States. That countries feel today that many core businesses must stay within the country. That supply chain should be shorter. If you don't make everything, at least supply chain should be reliable. It should be, this concept of what is called friendshoring. At least it should be with some country which will not mix business and politics. Someone with whom you don't have a boundary dispute. So I think this is a dilemma, but the answer to this dilemma is not entirely in the hands of the government. A large part of it is decisions which business has to make. And what the government would do is we will definitely in different sectors, because you can't do everything at one time. But certainly in sensitive sectors, we will be very, very careful, who does what and where do we source from and who is eligible for what. I think that is a national security obligation that we have. And this government is very, very clear and conscientious about its national security obligations.